Two brothers and their younger sister moving through the foster care system towards legal adoption until one day they weren't. They were moving instead from a home in the leafy suburbs into short-term placement. Uprooted for, what was it, the sixth or seventh time? Sure, they'd be bused back to attend school, at least for a while.
When the principal of our middle school asked the oldest child, "Do you have any questions?" his only question was, "Can I still play football?"
Can I still play football? Can I still be connected to something? Can I still belong somewhere?
Just something about it said we have to jump in and change it. And there were a number of people. We ended up having a committee of people trying to resolve what could be done with these children.
When I would go to bed at night, all I would think of is if those three children were my children and they were going to be split up and sent to different homes, I couldn't live with that. And it drove me and my husband to say, this is just what we have to do.
This story is a lot about community and a lot about a lot of people.
I belong to you.
It isn't a story about an adoption that didn't work. It's about the people who came together and worked to find that place where these kids belonged.
It was a little scary that we didn't know how long that process would be, but every time I looked at that little girl at 9 years old, you know, in her seventh home at the age of 9, it just, I couldn't think of not just doing it.
It was never by design, any of this. Obviously, trying to have a terrific outcome for these kids was by design, but having them here and having them become part of our family for the period of time that they did was somewhat accidental and also just, wonderful.
Wonderfully chaotic and confusing. For Tim and Lauren's own children, life as they knew it would change as well. Especially perhaps for Brandon. His 8th grade classmate was now his roommate.
As a 14-year-old kid, I had no idea how to deal with it. Like, I had no idea what was the right course of action, what I should have done.
And it definitely was difficult at times. It wasn't like they moved in and everything. We didn't instantly become the Brady Bunch. And I will never forget the little girl when she first came here was very hesitant to hug you or have any physical contact. And so every night, and nighttime was especially bad for her, I would put her to bed and I would have to stay with her and stay with her. And a month or so in, I would look at her when I would leave and I would give her a hug with no hug back, and I would tell her that I loved her. And that went on for quite some time, and I thought, wow, I'm never gonna get that hug. And about 2 months later, I did the same routine that I had done every night, and at the end, I told her I loved her, and I hugged her, and she sat up and she gave me a little bit of a hug that was really hard for her, I'm sure. And I left the room, and just as I got to the door, I heard in the smallest of voices, "I love you, Lauren." And to me, that's what made the whole thing worth it.
So there was an elephant in the room that no one wanted to talk about, and the two older boys, as time went on, would slowly give me and Brandon and Amanda more information about what their life was like.
I originally thought they would be here for a month, and then that went to 3 months, and then 6 months, and then 9. And so I had the same question as the kids is, when is this gonna end? How's it gonna keep going on?
I worked at the home for Little Wanderers over the summer last year, and it made just everything that we were doing and working on just so much more real because I had something to compare it to in my life. And I've also always wanted to be a lawyer for my whole life. And I think I want to do children and families law now because of the experience that we went through.
An experience made easier with the help of friends and neighbors who may never have anticipated they would become part of meeting the great need for foster families in every neighborhood. And also possible with the consistent support of the Department of Children and Families.
DCF was amazing with us. There's a lot that you don't know until you become intimately involved with them like we did. And I can safely say that DCF worked tirelessly for always keeping the best interest of those children at heart, but on top of that, doing everything they could to make it work for our family.
When I called the supervisor to tell her that we had found a family to take the kids on a permanent basis in the community, the supervisor started crying on the phone. So, you know, the dedication, the commitment of themselves to this task, we were very impressed.
Though the household is back to 5, the Miner family will remain forever expanded. That new and permanent home, that somewhere to belong, is just down the street.
It's awesome. Like I have a friend now that I hang out with almost every weekend, and that friendship will be long term, I'm sure of it, because we have that connection that not a lot of other people can say they have.